All right, good afternoon. It is March 9th, 2022. Sorry, I didn't have my chart up and ready to go. But really, I saw today as a spike in channel with, really, the bias was up, but you could have been playing this both ways. And I didn't see a lot of trades today. We'll go through it and see, maybe today's Wednesday, maybe Mac will have some more insight. The first trade I like, we had this channel, this short-term channel up right here. And you get a break of that channel and you get a second entry long setup. I do like this. I think this is a very nice setup for a second entry long. You can see none of those bars look like dojis. Okay, they look like very healthy, good price rejection, room to the highs. It looks good. So that's the first thing I saw. Then we have first entry, second entry here. You can see there's like this, the spike and channel up. I found this off of the highs. So if you drag it off these highs, pull it down here, it works. I don't see anything else in here that I like until over here. You get first entry, second entry, doesn't set up, but you get this higher low. We just bounced off that trend channel. So that was good enough for a scalp. Unfortunately, nothing else. And then we just started going sideways, and you get a break. And I don't see anything in here. We break out, no signal bar. Break out to the high side, no signal bar. You get a failed second entry long right here, and it's a second entry short, and it's off the highs of this level of resistance. But we went through there once, and the chances are we'll fail and go higher. So here we failed and went lower, and we bounce, and you get a first entry, failed second entry short that I think technically would be probably a second entry long too, depending on whether it bounced or went higher, then lower, then higher again. Or excuse me, lower, then higher again. It looks like a second entry long, but it's also a failure. And technically it's a first, second, third entry. That's definitely one leg up right there. Then we form this range, bouncing between the overnight highs and the opening price, and this is so congestive. Here you get a failed second entry short, but it's just way too congestive. First entry, second entry short. We just broke out. There's clearly some resistance right here, so there are reasons to take that trade. Technically, it's counter trend, and it just doesn't look too safe. But that's a huge bearish bar engulfing that. So we get two legs of correction, and then we start going higher again. You get a first entry, second entry. Doesn't set up. It is a bullish bar, but it looks like that's one leg of correction, and that's below the EMA, and we don't have this trend channel yet, so that's too risky. You might take this on the two-legged pullback. First leg pullback, second leg pullback. It's off the EMA, off the channel, trend channel. And then we just form this level of resistance. And we break out, and you get a first entry, failed second entry off that. That's far from the EMA, but I got to mark that green. Far from the EMA, but that's a failure. And you're going into the highs. It's just risky. And we get a first entry, technically second entry right here. This looks like the second entry, though, after two legs of correction. That looks pretty good to me. Off of that level of previous resistance, that's now support as well. That's a double test, so it looks pretty darn good. One-legged correction. Perhaps this is the second leg. Looks like kind of like three legs though. One leg, two legs. Looks like two small legs up maybe, and then one leg, two legs. Perhaps we make this double. This creates a second entry short right here, or actually it's a first entry, second entry with a lower high, but I'm just not convinced that we can go short right here. But when you get this failure set up, this confirmed the trend channel down. So maybe I should mark this green because it's counter trend. That set up pretty well. There's clearly price rejection there. These two you could argue are dojis, but they are bearish and both closing lower than the other. It's just a good setup for a trap. These channels are just really flat and not very strong. This is very congestive and range-like. So this looked like a trapping longs here. If you saw this in real time, maybe you would think that, because that looks like a second entry long, but it just doesn't set up to go short beneath that. It's just the context of the day. This is a great setup. This one is just aggressive. It's very congested in here. We break up here and form this level of support, and you get a first test, double test right here. I guess that's the only reason I marked it. There's room to the highs, and I mean the bias is up. And then we start trending down. I don't see first entry, failed second entry, but this is going into that support. That's and very congestive, all that overlap. That's a second entry short right there, but my signal bar is not good. I would say take that if you have a good signal bar right there, because that's a lot of room down. And I have this thing where my mouse doesn't really do well. Max talked about that too. He has that problem with his mouse. That's a small bar regardless. And that brings us to the end of the day. So that's what I saw. I think took 2 trades, 2 entries. So look at that. I went short. That's a good trade. I mean, it's risky, but it's set up very well. And then I went long here on a first failed second entry. Failed second entry short, but technically that's a third entry. This just doesn't set up. It's just, we're just chopping back and forth, and I don't think that's a good entry. So that's what I saw today. Those are the moves I made. God bless everybody. I hope you had a great day, and I'll be back tomorrow.